spent any time on X, you're probably aware of a woman named Shiloh Hendrix. In case you aren't, Hendrix has gone viral for allegedly calling a child a racist slur at a playground. The child is black, she's white.
On top of that, she has raised now $500,000 on Give, Send, Go. A local chapter of the NAACP, a human rights group, started a fundraiser of their own for the child victim and his family. They've raised $320,000 so far.
There's another similar situation tied into this. In April, a black teenager named Carmelo Anthony was charged with first-degree murder for allegedly stabbing a white 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a track meet. Anthony has also raised over $515,000, which sparked outrage among the right.
The Daily Wire's Matt Walsh seems to be at the center of the discourse now over a recent video he released. Here's what he had to say.
Every race can and should defend and root for their own, but white people, and white people only, should not be conscious of their race at all. None of it is fair or morally coherent. And the Carmelo Anthony case, where a black teen raked in $500,000 as a reward for stabbing a white kid to death, was, for a lot of people, the final straw.
Political analyst Rob Smith wrote on X, black racist crowdfunded for Carmelo Anthony, white racist crowdfunded for Shiloh Hendrix. Both are wrong. Please touch grass, visit the real world where blacks and whites and Latinos and Asians and everyone else aren't in some imaginary race war. So this is a very incendiary topic that's getting a lot of attention on social media. I think we laid it out pretty well there, but in case anyone's confused, this was a playground encounter. I have not seen video footage of the actual alleged slur being, it was the N-word being hurled at this kid. I don't know if that footage does exist. A bystander starts recording after that,
right,
when the woman is leaving. Now, she says that the kid was going through her stuff, was like going to steal something from her, and so then that's how she responded. And then this is a different person who is not related to or parent of the kid, who just happens to be there recording, and she has an interaction with him. So, so then she started a GoFundMe type campaign. That's what this website she's using is. People gave her a lot of money, which sounds crazy. Conservatives are responding saying, well, while that is bad for people to give money to someone for uttering a racial slur, well, here's this other situation where people were giving money to this black teenager who stabbed, allegedly, this white guy. My thoughts are that everyone involved in this has done a bad thing. I mean, it is the kid, however old he is, should not have been going through someone else's belongings, so that was bad. The woman should not have reacted the way she did. That was bad. The bystander should not have been recording her. That was bad. We're way too much of a surveillance society now, where every time you see, like, every negative interaction between people now has to be broadcasted onto social media. Sometimes you're having a bad day and you're rude to the cash register person or the person who takes your parking spot.
Rude and racist are two different things, but go ahead.
Fair enough, and I'll absolutely let you jump in just a minute there. But I think that was bad. I think the recording is bad. I think her starting a GoFundMe was bad. I think people giving her money is bad. I think it's all bad, and it should just not be encouraged in any way, shape, or form. Conservatives are saying, well, we agree with that. That's what Matt Walsh is saying. I agree with that, but as long as you're going to donate to people for this reason, then you got to be prepared for this reality too, hoping that this is the end of it and there's no more of this kind of thing afterward.
So
Sorry, your thoughts.
No, I actually think what Matt Walsh is saying is ridiculous, because you're taking a recent incident that's naturally in the news because there's recorded viral video and trying to combine it with a past incident, when I feel that both are wrong. Mm-hmm. Don't raise money for a wrongdoing, right? In both situations, people should have found somebody who was actually in an authority position. This woman, Shiloh, and a park ranger, maybe the parents of the child, and in the Carmelo situation, an adult in the school, a mental health supervisor in the school if they felt like they were being bullied. There's a bunch of conversations, but I think let's just start here, that we're rewarding racism from this woman, Shiloh Hendrix, for $600,000. Mm-hmm. It means that, harassing and, not tolerating black children in America is now not only a tolerance thing, but now it's a lucrative thing to do. And I think that has to be a hard line. This was bad, mm-hmm. and not try to find the what-if-isms to figure out how to bring these together. Because what we know is that historically, right, if a white woman in this country wants to call the cops or create a situation that will make a black person uncomfortable or make a cop uncomfortable, they could be risking their lives. I mean, we have several examples of this, like when George Zimmerman, who was a Latino man, decided that a black young boy looked uncomfortable in a neighborhood, he took the liberty to kill Trayvon Martin, and so he no longer is alive, right? When we go back to 1955, you have Emmett Till, a white woman called and said that she said that he was somebody who was dangerous, and he is no longer alive. We have in Central Park during COVID, a call saying that a bird watcher was a threat, and the police were called on that man who was just relaxing. And we know that these situations can lead to death.
No, you're.
And so this is a 5-year-old, and even if he's not 5, because the argument Matt Walsh was making is that he could be 6, he could be 7, he could be 10. He's not 30, 40, or 50 like an adult. And what I think that she needed to do is find an adult to speak to. That man that recorded her was a friend. He was the child who had autism, allegedly, was friends with his children, and he was protecting him. I have a child. If you were watching, your friends probably have children. If you're watching their kids or around their kids, you're probably going to be like, "Hey, don't talk to them like that." And from what I saw,
But don't steal my stuff.
I know, steal your stuff. What she had in her hand and was waving around, and we're going to find out from research from this Minnesota Police Department. But what she had was a yogurt pouch. A kid with autism goes in your bag and takes a yogurt pouch. Are they a robber or are they a kid with autism?
This is what. We all have autism.
No, this is actually, you don't know if he has autism or not.
I don't
so
care
we're gonna,
either way.
but you know, an autistic kid taking something is not stealing, right? They're literally just pulling stuff. Like,
Well,
I have autistic people in my family, so I think that
I'm not calling for him to have any kind of law enforcement action. I agree with a lot of what you said.
She berated and chased around a child like an adult.
But she didn't call the cops.
No, she was on the phone with somebody trying to pretend like she was, so using that privilege to try to threaten somebody, and she chased the kid around, calling him the N-word allegedly, and berated him. And I think as the adult in the situation, that is pathetic. And I think that while I don't think that we need to chase her down, find her address, post it online, and many of the things that have been done, I certainly don't think $1 should go to supporting her in any
I
way.
agree with that.
And it's abhorrent for anybody that would donate to something like that.
I agree with that. But I mean, as you just noted, you were saying harassment is wrong and all that kind of thing. She has now herself received death threats across the board, has to move, has to do all of that.
Allegedly has to move. Or just
well,
collecting the cash.
she is now the subject of an intense. Again, social media is not well calibrated to deliver the correct level of opprobrium for. Yes, she did a bad thing. No disagreement there. Does she deserve to have her life completely ruined because of it? I don't think so. I would say the same to the kid. The kid did a bad thing. Does not deserve to have any kind of law enforcement. It deserves nothing more than hey, this is why you don't do that, and now you get timeout or something, right?
But I think
There's
we just peeled back the layers on how she responded was like racist. It wasn't like she responded to a young kid that could be anywhere. Let's say, in Matt Walsh's opinion, between 5 and 10 years old. I mean, or he could be a tall 5-year-old, like the man is saying.
I don't know how old the kid is. I also don't know exactly what she said to the kid because we haven't seen that video footage.
But berating a kid and chasing them around the park to tell them you're taking the yogurt or whatever is in a diper bag for a small baby.
And you're there and you're like, I'm going to start recording this?
Yeah, because I need to show the parents to tell them what happened.
Spectator of, I think there's just way too much. We have bad moments. People are captured in their ugliness, and that is now preserved forever because of the power of smartphones and social media. And I think it's not good. I think if we had been recorded, you and I, when we were younger people, our whole lives, our worst, our lowest moments, preserved for all posterity, for the entire world to pick us apart, I think it would be very unhealthy. I think we would be shocked by how badly we acted when we were adolescents.
But
now, this is an adult woman, so I'm not trying to let her off the hook.
So this is an adult woman, and I think, what's important is that, like, for example, her or Amy Cooper, who I was talking about in Central Park, who called the police. Like,
I remember this
these are women I don't know what job this woman has. Shiloh will find out. But with Amy Cooper, she was in a management role where she would hire people of color, and she has inherent racism in her, right? So this woman is a school teacher, or anyone that handles a black child that feels that they are the N-word if they do something childlike, take something they're not supposed to. That to me is a wild. That's a wild perspective to have as an adult.
One was a little the Birdwatcher one was it was more complicated. I mean, she didn't use a racial slur.
I know. She just was like, "Oh my God, I'm in fear for my life."
It.
Right. So, but my point is, this woman used a racial slur.
But she called the cops. The thing she did that was very wrong is she did call the cops.
Right. They both.
She had her life. By the way, she had her life destroyed because of this. She lost her job immediately and became the most, the face of Karen, the most hated woman on the planet. So was that, the right thing that should happen?
I think if MAGA is an overcorrection of what was going wrong with policies and news always covering Trump in a negative light, then I think that, correction in this way of protecting black people and making sure that people that are Karens and weaponize the police to protect themselves and kill black people is the same overcorrection. And while the pendulum could swing, I certainly think there's room for correction in this.
Yeah, I don't want to sick the police. You should be very hesitant to involve the police in any kind of social situation unless there is a real, they have better things to do with their time. And yes, when you bring in the police, there's always the chance of escalating conflict or something. I mean, they could mistakenly shoot you. It's not as common as sometimes we make it out to be that they're all out
but
there
it's more common
accidentally
in certain
shooting
communities.
everyone. But it's somewhat more common. That's a little bit exaggerated too.
The chance of force with police officers disproportionately affect black people. But this story is kind of off tangent because she never called the police.
Well, that's
it's
because
just
the police are
rules
called in areas of disproportionate crime and
like
lower
Central
income
Park,
where there are more likely to be. Well, I don't know that there's disproportionate.
There's not. My point is that the police are called if a person that's non-black feels a threat because a black person is simply existing. And I think that should stop happening, as well as racist people being around black children.
I think there's no reason to bring race into it in that circumstance. Just don't call the police for no good reason. Don't waste their time or yours. Just deal with your little disputes on the playground like adults and move on with your lives. And that's fine. And this doesn't need to be and shouldn't be a national news story, except people are really thirsty for vengeance and for justice and for turning things into causes. And I think that's really been a bad thing. Cancel culture has been robbed a little bit of its power as Twitter, X, has become almost solely a right-wing space. There's less of the kind of, I think, progressive finger wagging that used to occur on the site. But it's still out there, and I'm always the person saying, okay, well, that thing was probably bad, but can we just not destroy people, I guess?
I want to see where this is going to go. I want to see what the police say now that they're involved, now that they're researching and trying to see what happened here with no video, or
but
maybe
I don't even care. Why are they even doing that? Who cares? There's no crime was committed.
We're here already. So now
we don't need to be here. No crime was committed. Everyone stop. Just go home, play video games, do something, do some yoga. I don't know.
Okay, well, up next, Trump is taking on Hollywood. Here we go.